Welcome to the Business Success Partners in conjunction with Waka, the business continuity webinar for COVID-19 with our panel of experts. So here we have today, we've got Phil Wicks from Business Success Partners, Steve Parker, Helen Laidlaw and Graham Howard. And we're going to start off with you, Phil. We're talking about COVID-19 today. Can you give us a bit of an overview of the type of thinking needed to get through this very tricky period for businesses in New Zealand?
Yeah, it is obviously it's unprecedented, but it's been really heartening to see over the last couple of weeks, just talking out there to the business community and to my own personal clients, the attitude that most people are actually showing. I think it's been really amazing. I mean, SMEs are used to adversity, but it is really heartening to see that the attitude that most of them are showing. For those that are a little bit stressed out or even depressed, Business Success Partners does have a clinical psychologist that we work with that we're more than happy to point you towards, and I think it's important if you're in that space that you do get professional help. Overall, though, I think a good way to really sort of to take away some of the stress is actually to take action, and I think that's that's a proven thing that you can. There's two types of stress, and the worst type of stress is when you're just focusing on the issue rather than actually some solution. So what we want to accomplish here, I guess, is to help provide you some solutions and perhaps to get you to look at this as a potential opportunity for your business.
Good stuff. So when you created a 10-point checklist that I saw yesterday, that was really, really helpful. Can you run through that with us now, and then we'll go into the panel to discuss more?
Yeah, sure. So this is just a general overview, and Steve and Helen and Graham are going to probably go into a lot more detail, but it's still something really, really good to refer to, and it's just a few important things that you want to be doing at this time. One is to examine your supply chains. Very important to understand your cash flow. Keep communications with customers and stakeholders. Just because we're in isolation doesn't mean you can't communicate with your customer base and the important people that are important to your business. So we're all in this together. Everybody's experiencing a few things. So keep those communications going. Review business insurances. And in regards to communication, also keep interacting with your employees. This might be a time to do a few team building exercises, or just if there's any sort of extra work that you can maybe get them to do while they're at home, get them to do that. But whatever that may be, communicating. Review costs, and don't be afraid to ask for help from your bank. Obviously, the government's really come to the party with the government support, but there's also government agencies like regional business partners. Whether you're in Taranaki, you work with Venture Taranaki, or in Tauranga and you work with the Chamber over there. Well, here in the Waikato, we have Waka, and we've got to know the team there really well over the years, and they have a lot of empathy and they will listen to you. So there's a lot of extra support there. Develop a contingency plan. That's part of what these two seminars are really going to be focused on, helping you do that. And also, once this is over, or actually before this is over, start thinking like a hunter. When times are good, people just wait for business to come to them. Well, this is a time where you might want to really start to go out there and hunt your business, be a bit shark-like, and sort of start thinking that that we could theoretically, there could be quite a boom after this period, but you want to be the one that benefits from that boom. So get that sort of attitude right, and don't be afraid, lastly, to seek help putting all this together if need be.
Fantastic. So we're going to move now to Helen. Helen, you sort of focus on the finance side, in Business Success Partners. So clearly there's a lot of businesses out there now who'd be very, very worried about their cash and having enough cash to get through this forced closure. What sort of tips can you give them?
Yes, that's true, Craig. It's really important for businesses to understand what their cash situation is currently, but it's also important to keep the cash flowing. So make sure you pay your staff and your suppliers so that they can pay their staff and their suppliers. But basically, my tips are: ring all your customers. If they owe you money, find out when they are going to pay that money to you. Make sure you complete your March invoicing and get that out to your customers. This will ensure that you will have the cash coming in April. And lastly, review all of your expenses. Make sure you know when they need to be paid and the date that they need to be paid. There are some expenses that can be deferred, and these are things like if you've got loan repayments, contact your bank or your finance company to find out if you can defer those payments or just do interest only. If you've got IRD debt, or you owe IRD the income tax on the 7th of April, IRD have actually said that they will write off any interest or penalties if you don't pay that. If you pay rent, contact your landlord and ask if they can give you a reduced rent or a deferred rent payment. So there are definitely lots of options. Don't stay silent. Keep asking for help.
Fantastic. So going forward, what can business owners do to ensure that their cash position is improved?
So my first tip is, and I do this with all of my clients, is create a budget. So if you know where your money is coming from and what you will be spending it on, it puts you in good stead to make some really good business decisions. So for your sales, make sure you know where are your sales going to come from? What are the customers? What products or services are you going to sell? Are there any risks that will stop you selling to them? Do you need raw materials? Do you need a permit to operate? Do you need a contact plan? So with regards to the sales, make sure you're proactive rather than reactive. In terms of the costs, one of the things that I do with all my clients is review their top 10 products or services to make sure you understand what it is that's going into those products and services. Cost it out. More often than not, we've actually found that the prices need to be increased, or if the market can't sustain that, costs need to be reduced. And so how do you do that? By the same token, actually review your bottom 10 products and services. Do the same exercise. Sometimes you actually, if you stop offering these services or products, you actually see an increase in profitability. I had that recently with a client who reduced their products from 50 to 10, and the sales remained the same, but the profitability increased because it took us less time to make the 10 products than it did to do the 50. Please ensure you have accurate financial reports every single month. It is critical to do this so that you can make great business decisions. If you don't have an admin person, look to hire a bookkeeper.
Perfect. Okay. So what are some things that can go wrong? I mean, once we come out of our hopefully 4-week isolation and businesses get back up and running again, what sort of can go wrong when they're up and running?
Yeah, Craig, unfortunately, there will be some casualties during this time. So my 3 pieces of advice to you are basically talk to your supply chain. So be confident that they can meet your supply demands. And if not, look for other suppliers who can and develop those relationships. Secondly, keep in touch with your customer. Cement those relationships and flag up early if you think they're not going to be able to pay you, especially if this has a significant impact on your cash flow. And lastly, but most importantly, be in tune with your staff. How are they feeling and what do they need? After all, some actually may struggle to fit back into the work environment after being at home.
Very, very good advice there, Helen. Thank you so much. Okay, we're going to move on to Steve now. Hi, Steve.
Hi.
So, Steve, you're the people person. What can business owners and managers do in this time with their leadership skills to improve things for the staff and for their business?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Craig. So, well, the first thing to shout really loud, what we know that followers need from their leaders. This is coming out of Gallup's biggest piece of research ever, is that followers need stability, hope, compassion, and trust. That's across the time zones, before coronavirus came, during coronavirus, and afterwards. If anything, more so now. And it is possible to deliver those things within a changing environment. And the advice that we're giving today does that, including what Helen and Phil have had to talk about and what Graham will talk about. And my stuff has to do with the people side of things. A couple other off the top sort of thoughts from me is that one is that all the research out there shows that people are actually more productive when they're at home. So don't think that this will be a downtime at all. People tend to do better work when they're at home, and they like it. They miss the social stuff, however. But what you need to think about here is whether or not what's begun because it's forced upon will be something that might be worth keeping. Are there parts of what you're doing now that are actually worth keeping, both for the business and for your staff, coming out of this? And therefore, look, the practices that you set up now may be long term. So have that in mind. Most of the things, well, all of the things I have to say today fit under the heading of communication, communication, communication. And that frontline managers need to allow themselves time to do that. There's going to be a time cost here, and where that frontline manager is also the business owner. When you're wearing the management hat, you need to sort of, if you like, consciously put on that hat and go, at this point in time, this is what I need to do. I need to be a manager, which means I need to give people time to do the sorts of things that I'm going to talk about in a minute. As the dust settles over these next couple of days, next week or so, there are a whole lot of perhaps other important, urgent things, such as the stuff that Helen has been through to talk about, and that's okay. People can handle that. But in terms of getting back to work and carrying on business, wise managers need to get onto the front foot as soon as possible. Again, communication, communication, communication. And what acknowledge Gallup's research again, what we know is that actually when it comes to staff engagement, it's far more affected by internal forces, and particularly their relationship with whoever's managing them, than external forces. So that's that for now.
Yeah. So we were talking the other day, and you mentioned about what a leader or a manager can do right now. I was very impressed by that. So today, what can a leader or manager of a business do today to improve the situation?
Well, do the obvious, which is checking in on a personal note. Again, all the great managers care, and that's across the board. Is before coronavirus. It's in this time where you're having to care and check in on people, and it would be afterwards. Again, that point about using, if you like, this pressure cooker time to develop great management practices. That the extra things that you're doing to check on each other is massive drips in the bucket, so to speak. But apart from checking on a, just how you're going front, there's a few other things to do as well. One is that they have all that they need practically to do their work. And I want to encourage you to keep checking, because, as we rushed out of our offices and went home, we had things that were okay for the first couple of days, but may not be anymore. This is not normally my office, but it is at the moment because of the demand on internet. So there will be changes that come. So you need to keep checking. Do you have what you need practically to do work? The other one is to check on a personal note about what you need from us, the workplace, me, the manager. And I'm trying to encourage people here not to guess and not to suppose either, not to assume. And I really want to encourage you to cover the bases with this question. And I'm thinking of things like, what information about the business do they need? Knowing what else is going on. They can't see it anymore. They're not walking into the workplace. They're not bumping into that friendly person who they normally don't see, who they normally don't work with, but who they see every day and having a little catch up. They're not getting an accurate thermometer, an accurate pulse reading on what is actually happening. What social time do they need with colleagues? When you get together on Zoom or whatever platform you're using, is it, people care about each other. So allowing time, and again, front-footing that, saying, let's just catch up with each other first and then get down to business. How often do people need feedback on their work? What recognition do they need? Are there any training needs that they need for these new platforms and ways of working that you can help with? Following on from that, so when it comes around to work, really want to encourage you to be clear with the expectations / outcomes you're driving for. But not only do you need to be clear, but you need to check for understanding. You need to understand that communication is not just about speaking and listening, but it's about, do you understand, and can you, if you like, repeat it back to me? So just to be clear that we're on the same page. You're going to say goodbye perhaps, and then going to have a Zoom chat with someone else, and they're going to go off. You're not in the same office for them to come back and check to you. So do it once, do it right. And again, such good management practices for as we come out of this process. The next point is individualize, and this is the key role of the manager, to help staff meet expectations in a way that works for them, which is ultimately most productive. This kind of follows on from the point before that we made about checking with them personally what they need, to do good work. What I'd like to, a metaphor I'd like to give here is that as a manager, your aim is to broker what is a win for your staff and a win for the business. So what do you need in order to do good work? And here's what the business needs. And how can we pull those together so we all get what we want? And if you have that mindset of brokering the deal, I think you'll do some good stuff.
Oh, fantastic.
And final point from me, Craig, is to be front-footed and open about what's happening in the business, what you're doing about it, even though your plans might change. And you could talk about how you'll try and keep people informed. Being informed is just so important. What will happen otherwise is people will gossip, they will wonder, and they'll wonder with each other, texting each other, social, messaging each other, and they'll wonder without you there. And what that tends to do is it undermines your leadership. So be front-footed. And that's my final piece of advice.
That is fantastic, Steve. Absolutely fantastic. Some really, really great tips in there. So we're going to move on to Graham now. Graham's background and specialty is hospitality and tourism. So Graham, the hospitality and tourism sectors have been hit very, very hard, probably the hardest hit. What experience, what are your thoughts about helping these people? What are some of the key things they can be doing to get some, turn things around for themselves?
Well, the hospitality industry, probably, and the tourism industry were probably the first ones to feel the impact of the pandemic, and they've actually been suffering for quite a long time. The thing is, people have to remember that this is going to finish. There is going to be an end to this pandemic, and once this is finished, people are going to be wanting to look at ways of, they want to get out, basically. They want to start living their life normally, and that they've been cooped up for a long time. At the moment it's 4 weeks. It could be longer. We don't know. Over the past few years, there has been a move for the people to entertain and enjoy themselves at home more than going out. What's happened with the pandemic actually could change the landscape. There may be a change where people now will start going back to the hospitality venues. And this is where it's important for businesses in the industry to be in the forefront. Start planning now for it. How are you going to do it? What planning needs to be done? What sort of innovation and what sort of thinking needs to come out of this? And this will stand you in good stead. You probably still got some staff on your books, some senior staff. Get them involved. You can still contact them through Zoom, Skype, even on the phone. Get them involved with the planning, because when it comes down to it, when you start to work, they are the ones that are going to have to help you implement these new changes. You need to keep in touch with your customer base. Your current customer base. They're the bread and butter of your business. Let them know what you're thinking. Let them know what you're doing, And even if you can get some feedback from them, if you know some personally that you can talk to, see what they want to do. But don't forget, once this is over, people are going to want to get out of isolation.
Good advice, yeah. So what sort of things should these people be doing, owners of hospitality businesses, what should they be doing today, like right now?
Well, yeah, planning. Yeah, start thinking about what offerings you're giving to your customer. Yeah, is it time that you refresh or renew your menus? Change the theme to your restaurant. Yeah, what specials are you going to offer? How are you going to run your restaurant? Yeah, try and do things to attract families. Maybe that's a good market, because it won't be just mum and dad that want to get out of the house. I think the kids will be wanting to be right behind them. So maybe put something special on for the kids. Maybe it's a make your own pizza night or make your own burger night. I don't know. This is where innovation and great thinking needs to come out. Yeah, when the people want to get out, you need to give them something to come for. You need them to have something that's going to attract them to your venue. Yeah, and again, this is where the innovation and think outside the square. Yeah. The other thing you have to think of is, with these changes, is how are you going to relaunch? Basically, with the big break that we've had, you're nearly relaunching a new business. Yeah. What marketing ideas have you got? How are you going to get the information and the message out to these people? Yeah, is it via social media, website? There's a myriad of marketing ideas, and I think in the second webinar, I think marketing is a subject that's discussed. Yeah, so yeah, the thing is plan and think, how are we going to do these things?
Excellent, Graham. So what about people who own a tourism business? What's some advice that you can give these people?
The tourism industry is going to take a lot longer to recover. Yeah, with what's happened with the close of borders, even if we open our New Zealand borders, doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to get the tourists back, because the other countries around the world are going to possibly have their borders still closed. Also, there's going to be the fear factor, the unknown factor with what's happened, where people are going to have a very much a reluctance to travel overseas. Yeah, and it's going to take a lot longer for the tourist industry to bounce back. Yeah, maybe 12, maybe 18 months till the traveller and the people start to get a bit of confidence back in the market. Yeah, so you have to start to think, what other markets do you have? And the local market will be like your international market. They won't want to travel. Yeah, they're going to be reluctant to travel. So how are you going to attract them to your venue, your tourism activity? Yeah, and this is where you're going to have to get a marketing strategy together to attract the local market. Yeah, the New Zealand local market is a big market, and yeah, it's probably relatively untapped, because New Zealand's been concentrating on that huge international influx that we've had recently. Yeah, what do they want? Because what the Kiwi traveller, the local traveller wants, will be different to what the international market wants. Yeah, as this will be different from the international, innovation is the key again. Start thinking of what people want, how you're going to get the message to them, and get it out there. That's imperative. And a few years back, in fact, maybe a longer years back, there was a tagline, don't leave home till you see the country. What a great time to use that as a lever. Get the locals to see what they're missing.
Well, that's great, Graham. Thank you very much for that. We're going to move on now back to Phil. And Phil, in regarding to marketing, should business owners stop their marketing now? What are your thoughts around that and advice?
No, they shouldn't. I think it's very easy in any type of recession. Or situation. I was going to say like this, but we've never had a situation like this. But to actually think you have to stop your spending on marketing. But probably, I think what you need to do is be very vigilant on your spending. But I think it's also important that you focus on a couple of things, that you focus on really trying to create a point of difference with your marketing, and also on protecting your current client base. So in regards to business, that might mean, for example, just making sure you keep in front of your clients, contacting them by email, contacting them by phone, and just getting an understanding of their situation as well. With business to consumer, you want to focus on maybe how you can economically get out to the market, and that might be a bit more, being a bit more knowledgeable around how you market, especially in the digital space. This is not a time to disappear. This is a time to carefully plan your marketing, clarify your message, and in some cases be better in certain channels of marketing as well. So think a little bit about how you're going to do that. That's one way that you can do it a bit more effectively cost-wise, and put a big focus on how you can really highlight your point of difference. And if you do that, if you just think a little bit more carefully about it, that will also do you good as you come through the other side.
Brilliant. Okay, some great tips there. So leading on from this discussion, Phil, what support is Business Success Partners offering to business owners?
Well, part of doing these seminars was really to not just do the seminars, but provide a really substantial sort of support package individually to all the businesses that are viewing this. And part of that is obviously a question and answers. And we decided not to do this live, to actually record this, simply because we wanted as many questions to come through as possible, and we knew that some of those might be a little bit sensitive, so the best way that we could sort of answer some of those questions is probably to do it one-on-one. We're also offering a free 1-hour consultation with one of our advisors, and would encourage anybody that needs a little bit of help to take us up on that. And over and above that, we have a COVID emergency plan that we've had registered with regional business partners, so businesses can apply for funding to get that as well.
Very good. Okay, so we're going to do another webinar, and what will the focus of the second webinar be?
Well, I think when we looked at this, we thought, well, let's focus this webinar mainly on what you can do now, and or what you should be doing now. But I think we also have to keep one eye on the future, and I think there's a general sort of consensus that's starting to sort of happen around that we could end up coming out of this with a little bit of a boom, because everybody will be in catch-up mode, and there's probably some really good opportunities for those businesses that are really prepared. So there's a real opportunity during this time to start thinking about your business vision, to start thinking about your strategy, and maybe a little bit of a refocus around a lot of the things that you possibly should have been doing before this happened. I mean, a lot of businesses get so busy doing that strategy sort of is inclined to go out the window. So this is a real opportunity to actually put some thought into how you can become a better and stronger business. And so our next seminar is going to put quite a lot of focus on that. And it's really just keeping things positive and sort of saying, okay, this is hard, but we're going to get through this, and let's see if you can come out the other side better and stronger.
Fantastic. Okay, so for anybody watching this, if you want to contact Business Success Partners, the easiest way is just to Google Business Success Partners NZ, and you'll find the website, or you can email us on info@bspnz.co.nz, or there's an 0800 number there, 0800 287 266. So guys, thank you very much. I think that's been very good information for businesses during this challenging time. And we will see you all again tomorrow for part 2. We're going to get stuck into it again. And so anybody watching, please reach out for help. We've got some great advisors, and they're all registered under the COVID-19 to help you. Thanks, guys. We'll see you in the morning.
Thank you.
See you.
Bye.